Exterior opens up to a lot easier installs, especially on a commercial setting. So
you don't even have to be there.
I don't have to move your desk out of the way.
If it's east-facing windows, we can come in the evening and do it. If west-facing windows, we can come really early in the morning. The exterior actually has opened us up to be a lot more flexible with scheduling, and on commercial projects, you can get them done a lot faster.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Born to Tint podcast with the Miller Brothers. I'm Ricky. I'm glad to be here with my big brother, Josh.
How's it going, everybody? Today, we have a special guest. We have a local window film and wrap installer, PPF also, Alex with Prismatic Auto Styling. Young, been in the industry for 5 years now. Started at 15. Check it out. Really awesome conversation.
So you're saying right now you're kind of freelancing. What got you in the industry? It's kind of, I won't be like it's a broad question right off the bat, but it being industry related, my first curiosity is, when did you start installing?
2020, like January 2020. I was looking at my photos last night actually, because I was like, he gave me a couple like pointers of a few questions you guys were gonna ask, and one of them was that. And I was just scrolling through my photos, and the first one was like January 3rd, 2020, and it was about when I bought my first car. So I was just like, oh, you know what? I want to change the color of it, and I bought a roll of vinyl and I just started wrapping.
So you started off with wraps.
Yeah, I mainly do vinyl.
Okay.
Yeah, mainly color change vinyl.
Color change.
That's what I do mostly. And a good amount of commercial, a lot of perforated vinyl, some wall murals when it comes in. But bread and butter is color change.
Color change, yeah. No, I ended up kind of pulling that away from the company for the time being, just because who's now our editor and does all our content for us. He was my graphics guy. So in order for us to do a color change wrap, it would be me and him, or it'd be him doing it himself.
Yeah. And
it's like, by him doing it himself, now I can't have any artwork being done. And especially now that we started doing all this, it's like, it was a pretty easy switch for me of going like, nope, we're just going to we'll do commercial work. We'll do commercial cars too.
Yeah.
Find it just obviously the design work and all that's a lot easier. You can usually push a half wrap almost 100% of the time and let them know like, hey, this is where you could have a problem area. Don't wrap your roof. It's a commercial. Unless you want to see me every about year and a half, don't waste your time.
Yeah.
But it was always hard for me to find the right price point for color change, especially being able to tell the customer like, hey, depending on which vinyl you pick, and then also unfortunately because where we're located in our country, I'm just going to be upfront with you. The manufacturer warranty is going to end here. Now, at the same time, I could point to my Scion that was sitting out front. It was neon green at the time. I was like, that's been wrapped for 5 years. And I haven't switched the roof. I haven't switched the hood. And it still looks perfectly fine. So it's kind of like a roll of the dice of how well do you take care of your car. So it was just, I guess, business decision when, it does come down to it. But now I've started taking advantage of the fact that I found one guy that does my commercial wraps for me now, but it slowly has gotten to the point where now when I do I'll get a color change for like a big client, and it's like,
yeah, might as well.
Yeah. It's like, well, now I have somebody like, here, let me hand this off and it's, you take care of it. It's now your problem.
Yeah. Right.
So from wraps, when did you pick up tint?
Maybe 2021, a little bit like after COVID, when the world started like opening up again. I met Rob, All Out Tint Rob.
Yeah.
I met him on Facebook, and I wanted to get my car tinted, and I wanted like this colored tint. He was the only one that said yeah. And I stopped by. He's like, well, we charge extra for removal. I was like, I'll remove it myself if you teach me. And he liked that I was like ambitious.
That's awesome.
And he kind of like took me under his wing for a few months, taught me a couple things, and then it didn't really work out because he was kind of leaning into more flat glass when I met him. So he taught me a couple things for a couple of months, and then I kind of did my own thing after that. And it was on and off with tint. 2023 is when I started tinting like full time, what you would say. So the last 2 years I've been tinting a lot.
Do you feel that it was an easy transition for you going from, being able to do a color change wrap and then switching to tint? Yes, there are completely different things. I'd almost equate it to snowboarding and skateboarding.
Yeah,
it's similar, but they are two polar opposites.
Yeah. Honestly, it's definitely 100% different, but they have similarities. And people always ask me all the time, like, what's easier, tinting or wrapping? It just depends, really. Like, what aspect? Like, how do you get a cleaner job? Wrapping's a lot easier to get a cleaner job, but tinting is a little easier for me, like start to finish. You know,
Yeah.
because wrapping, you have to take the whole car apart, prep it, clay bar it, cut every panel out, get no creases. If it's a red car and you're wrapping it like black or like the exact opposite color, you got to wrap it so much deeper.
Yep.
So it really just depends.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know.
Which one do you prefer to do more?
Honestly, profit margin wise, tint. Because I mean, I've been wrapping for 5 years, so I'm pretty quick at it now. Like a color change wrap will take me 25 hours.
Mm.
So if I work 2 12-hour days, it's basically done.
Yep.
But I can tint probably 8 cars in 2 days by myself, and that's a lot more margin that I prefer.
That was part of why we're too busy with tint. Like the time we're spending on the color change for us just doesn't make sense right now.
Yeah, no, it's to charge enough in a color change to where I know I'm taking care of my installer and everything else past that. It's like now I got to throw a price at a customer that they might feel one way or another about, but then also I got to tell them it's like your warranty is only going to be this long. These are the capabilities of it. And it's where it's like, I didn't want to get in that back and forth with a customer.
Yeah.
You know, in my eyes, I'm looking anywhere, and especially if you're doing a deep wraps. Like I ran across one, I was taking a wrap off for a customer and I didn't realize it at first. I just said, hey, I'll do it. Good friend. And I started removing it and realized that they took this car apart. Like they took the doors off of it. And I was like, hey man, like, cause I was just taking care of it for him. I was like, hey man, like, I kind of hit a wall here. They removed molding. They double side taped everything back in place. They did a great job, but it's like I would never sell that deep wrap because I would never, because like then in my eyes I almost need a mechanic, you know.
Yeah, and a lot of people, you'll run into some shops that they'll charge those high end prices, and then they'll just have some kid taking your car apart, and they break so much stuff.
Second reason why I don't like it is that when you need someone who knows how to rip a car apart properly, which that's a whole other skill by itself. And don't I'm putting any vinyl on the vehicle at all. That's a whole other job right there, is ripping the car apart appropriately for those deep wraps.
You guys have a lot of neighbors though.
Huh?
You guys have a lot of neighbors that could probably do it.
Yeah, no, it's the one thing I've definitely have
Considered.
Yeah, it's definitely considered, and it's just networking with the right businesses, and that's the same reason why I got back to doing the like the commercial wraps, or even some of the other wraps I'll take on is for that sole aspect. Is now I can, even if it pulls down the profit margin a bit and I'm outsourcing, it's something that was like it wasn't going to get done, so I'm totally fine with that.
Make a couple of bucks instead of nothing.
Exactly. And like we do have one guy that we actually are that we do a lot of business with. He's pretty much an all-in-one shop, mechanic, body shop, does everything, Integrity Customs. He's literally right back on the back street, to where I've even got to the point now when a customer wants something like where we have to rip something apart, I take it over to him. All right, what's it going to cost me to get everything ripped off this vehicle? I get that price, and then I give my proposal. You know, just bake that price into where it's like, I know I am going to put it in the price for the most part. And then also I know how much time is going to be saved when it comes to the installation. The installation is going to be that much cleaner, that much better, even when it comes to paint protection. We have a truck, hopefully we're doing soon, that he wants to do camo on the whole truck. And at first he's the white truck and he wanted to go black. And I was like, in order to do that, we're going to have to take the bed off this thing. Like if you want it done properly, if you just want us to go to certain areas, sure. But with it being white and black, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. It's not going to look good. So I suggested, I was like, you know, if we do white camo, then we still have to pull some stuff off, but we don't got to take the bed off. Like if the one stripe of white across the top of the bed underneath the back window, that's going to get wrong. Yeah, it's going to get lost in translation. No one's going to see that. I'm not worried about that. So it's like now it's like every time it's something like that, I just go back to him and say, hey, how much to take this apart and put it back together? Yeah. You know, and how long is it going to take you? So I can bake that into how much time it's going to be. And then I can put the appropriate people on the certain days. And I've definitely gotten I've tried to have gotten a lot better with that. And I think I have, where it's just like, hey, you have to have the right offer. And then if you have the right people that you know you can trust what they're doing, hand it off to them, let them take care of their part, give it to your installer, let your installer do its thing, move on from there.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of contract work lately where people call me like, oh, I got a job for you. I'm like, what is it? This, that, and the third. And with those jobs, they don't want you to disassemble the car super crazy. So I take off what's necessary. Like, it's usually like emblems, handles, mirrors, taillights if it needs to be. And I work around the rest. But I got really good at it like that.
And like I said, it's an extra skill. Like someone can know how to lay vinyl amazingly, but when you're ripping door panels apart to take the door handles off, as soon as you get the grasp, like I know I can do Fords pretty well now. Like because when we were doing it, it was me and him doing everything. So like I know I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's easy. And then when someone's doing it for the first time, they're like, do what now? Like, well, you got to take all this apart. Remember how you took it apart.
Yeah.
Keep everything organized because you start after the first time you do it, and then you're trying to like, all right, where'd this bolt go again?
the right tools for the right make, like
that too is
so annoying.
Start investing in the proper tools, the right pry tools to pop certain things off, and then also understanding just order clips.
Yeah,
order clips, no matter what, because even if it's a brand new vehicle, you could pop it off perfectly, and clips are still going to break as long as you have the right clips to put it back, and you don't just put it back going, well, that's one less clip. Just make sure. I mean, and you can get them from Amazon. You can get like big bulk sets of it. So it just made sense. It's like, all right, when we do that, like even certain clips underneath hoods to take off the insulation. Yeah, like those clips are done no matter what. I've yet to find like I've ordered like, oh, I'm going to get this tool. I got the tool. I'm like, yes, I can't wait for this. It's going to come right off and snap. I'm like, never mind.
Yeah, it's the heat from the engine.
Yep.
The Mopars, like all the hood scoops.
I was literally thinking about a Dodge truck in my head while I was saying that. And the fact that you say Mopars, we're on the same page.
Those always break. I just work around the hood scoops now. Because like, especially with like the contract work, when they make you pay for anything you break, it's like, I'm just going to work around it.
Yeah, no. It's live and learn lessons. And then you start figuring that stuff out. Like I didn't even put two and two together to think that the heat from the engine is the reason why those clips always suck.
Yeah.
I've never even thought of that. That makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Complete sense.
The heat just degrades it.
So in 2020, when you got into it, how old are you? How old were you then? Like, what was like the...
I was 15 years old.
Oh, okay.
And I bought my first car, and it was gray. It was like faded gray. I honestly wanted to wrap it purple, but I got a deal on a full roll for $200. And I was like, it was black. I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, this is practice. I'm sure the first time wasn't going to be good anyways. And it wasn't, definitely wasn't. I'm glad it was my car that I learned on, because I definitely messed a lot of shit up. Broke a lot of stuff, like taking it apart, cut a lot of paint. But the second time around, it was a lot better. And like, I did like the fact that it was different, because I was thinking about painting it, even thinking about learning how to paint, because my uncle's a body man and a body and paint. But I'm glad I learned, because like it taught me, I was super frustrated that I couldn't get it right the first time. And it just like, you would cut it and you see a little slither of gray, and it's just like, it was super, super frustrating, but I just didn't give up. And then now I do it for a living. Yeah. So.
No, it's definitely one of those trades where you have to recognize instantly going into it, especially when you're doing your first projects. Like, you're not going to get it right. I mean, I've been an installer for 20 plus years, and that stuff still happens. It's still going to happen. And it's a little reminder like, I forgot to do this time. And then even with the new makes and models coming out too, there's going to be all the little tweaks and stuff that, as long as you're always open to learn from that mistake, and you'll always get better. No.
And starting young, man, is such a huge advantage. That's one of the things we were blessed with just growing up in it. But like, so you're like 20?
Yeah, I'm 20. I just turned 20 on the 3rd.
Yeah, man. Like, so you've got such a head start on most people. The fact that you found a career that you enjoy, and you've already gotten 5 years of experience. And there's most kids get out of high school, and they, the ones that go into college, they're still in school right now. You got 5 years up of real world experience, right?
Massive debt too.
Yeah, like I don't know. There's just, it's crazy is we've got a lot of people on and we've just known over the years that have been in the industry for a long ass time, and almost all of them that have been successful like started like either right out of high school or during high school. They had like, they wanted to tint their own car or a buddy's car, and then boom, they they picked it up
snowballs.
and then they just put the time in, and now they're, you know, have big giant shops.
That's literally how my dad started the business. He was building cabinets for buddies in Simi Valley it was for their tint shop, and he was watching them do it, and then he heard what they were getting paid for the car, and he saw them just like taking the sheet, and he was like, I can do that. Order a roll, a 20-inch roll later, the entire roll. He did it was his first truck.
Yeah.
It took him an entire 20-inch roll to get the truck done. But then same thing, just kind of like slowly just figured it out. And yeah, like I said, most of the owner operators, the older generation, like the guys that are 50, 60 years old, that have been in the industry for 4 decades plus, it was like the same story across the board. It was, I wanted to tint my car. And then they just kind of got into it, and then they realized, oh, I can make some money with it, and then just slowly evolved into it.
The thing that's hopeful for me, for the younger generation, anybody younger listening to this, like those people were able to figure it out without YouTube, without Google, without all the extra ways that you can learn to get good at something right now. Like none of that existed. So right now, if you find something like the tint industry or whatever it might be, like there's places to learn and get better faster than was ever possible before. So if somebody could do it 30, 40 years ago with no outside help other than who you could find around you locally, like the opportunity right now is insane.
Well, and beyond that too, the industry was extremely cutthroat back then too.
Yeah, nobody wanted to teach nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've shied away from that tremendously.
What really helped me was working for free. I worked for free a lot. Because, I mean, if you're not paying me anything to help you and I could just watch you, that was the number one thing that taught me.
That is a hell of a mindset to have, especially at your age, man. You're not getting paid right then, but that transfer of knowledge is like, that's key. We were blessed in the fact that we grew up in a shop, and then I got to see multiple installers come in. Like my dad trained me how to tint. But beyond like him hitting the basics and like teaching me things, me being able to see the numerous amount of installers that we've kind of had over, the 40 years we've been in, 40 years?
Yeah.
40 years we've been in business, like see the different techniques and how people are installing, because it's never usually the same. And
42.
Yeah, it is 42. And also with him, like my dad trained him, and then he had the access to the people, and then I got to come in, my dad trained me, and then I got to see him install. And then I got to weed my way through the different installers of picking up little tips and tricks to evolve myself to how I install now. So it's like we got lucky.
Well, what's cool about that is like something we've been talking about because we're actively now pursuing it and not realizing it's exactly what you did. If you're doing it and you're doing it for free, you're investing in your education. You're getting in a spot where you can learn something, and you're not paying with money. You're paying with your time and effort, right? Like sometimes that's where you got to start. You don't have money, right? So do it for free. Learn how to do it, and then as you keep going, like don't ever stop that. Now you get to the point that you do have money to go pay somebody to go learn something faster, go to a class, or go, like we just hired Ryan Pineda to mentor us, just build the business to the next level of business, because we're at a point now where the business is growing, and what are the next steps? Because you keep hitting new hurdles. There's always going to be something new. That everything's dialed in and going good. You grow and something breaks. All right, what's the thing we need to fix now? All right, we could either go through the growing pains of figuring that out ourselves, cost ourselves a bunch of time and money, or we can spend the money and hopefully save the time.
Time is the most valuable thing that we have. And if I could, and that was like the big push because at first we met Pineda. He was running a program about doing podcasts and stuff. And he had already been bugging me for years that we need to be doing it. And my thing is I'm very like, give me a skeleton of how are we going to pull this off logistically? Like what kind of cameras do we need? How do we edit this? How do we post it? Like there's so many things that have to be done to get it to the final product that it was just like, I want some guidance. And then just so happened, I ran across one of his ads on social media. We signed up, they reached out, told us what how they were gonna go about it, how much it would cost, all that stuff, and we went forward with it. And it was like, all right, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it. We had to put the time aside and actually do it, because there's no way to tell if it's actually gonna work unless we actually put the correct amount of time into it.
Yeah.
And then after that experience, and we saw the return like a lot faster than we thought we were gonna see it. Like the interaction, the growth of our social media, the leads coming in. And then at that point, like when he called us, or should I say his assistant called us and was like, would you guys be interested in doing a one-on-one mentorship? Like, I'm not saying he could have thrown out any number, but like the number he threw out at us, like if you go back 5 years from now and you told me that we were going to spend that much money on someone to be a mentor, I'd been like, you're high. That's not happening.
Yeah.
There's no way we would invest that much money. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But we were at that point where it's like, we were just in the unknown. We've grown the business to a certain point. It's like, all right, we had a stale, was it 23? We had technically our first year of, we didn't grow. We actually
It was about flat.
It was like stagnant.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
real
Same
stagnant.
numbers as last year.
Yeah, it was like a couple percentage down from the previous year. And it's like we started looking at things within the company. We're like, all right, something's got to give here. And then when the offer was made, like, hey, would you guys be interested? And I was like, yes, absolutely. Because I'd rather pay that right now and skip the 2 to 3 years of us stumbling over our feet.
Trying to figure it out yourself.
Yeah, thinking that we're doing it correctly. And we could have been doing something wrong for like a month and a half. And it's not so much like not going to readjust and start doing the right thing, but we just lost a month and a half. If we were already pointing in the right direction, or if we like, hey, we should be doing this. And he's like, no, don't do that because this, and this. It's like, okay, that makes sense. Let's go this route. It's like, I'd rather save the 2 to 3 years of just frustration and, hey, maybe we would have pulled it off, but I don't want to guess at that. Like I can recognize that when it comes to the business side of it, he's light years ahead of us, but I'm willing to pay for that knowledge. Like, and it was probably one of the best investments we made.
Yeah, you guys are huge. I literally every time I open Facebook, I see you guys.
Oh, that's good.
See,
It's weird because that's only the last couple of years, but I know we've been building it for a while. But yeah, it's weird to hear that.
well, that just shows you the consistency. Like we've been consistently posting and doing that for about a year and a half now. And it's, I mean, we were at like, I think 1,000 followers a year ago.
Yeah, under 2,000, I think.
Yeah, under two.
On
Yeah,
Instagram or Facebook?
on Instagram, and now it's up to like 5,000.
Yeah.
To where it's like,
Six. We just hit 6.
I'm sorry, my
I
bad.
knew Jordan was going to chime in on that one.
6,000. But it also just goes to show, like, when you are making those adjustments, don't expect it. Like, it's been 2 months. Why hasn't it happened? It's like, no, that takes time. Like, it took me probably, I'd say 10 to 12 years as an installer when I finally got to the point where I felt like I do think I'm one of the best. And now I want to go try competing against those people and just, I want to see where I land.
Yeah,
And win or lose, I know I'm going to get something out of it. I know I'm going to test my skills, and then let alone I get to see everyone else in the industry that regards themselves as the best installers, and I get to see how they do it. So win or lose, my time is definitely not wasted because I'm engaged with what's happening, and then I'm asking the questions too. Like I'll see someone do something, and later on I'll find them like, hey, when you were competing, you did this. Why'd you do that? And it's like they explain it to me. I'm like, huh. That makes all the sense. I mean, just like with the clips in the hood, like it makes sense why those clips are crap because they are being heated constantly. Like, why would they pop out perfect? That makes no sense.
Yeah, they're gonna destroy themselves.
Yeah. Like for me, it was a paint protection. When someone introduced me to using hot water on paint protection, it was in 21. It was one of Fusion Tools, Nick from Fusion Tools. Went up to his booth before I went to compete. And he's, you gonna use hot water? I'm like, for what? He goes, when you're clearing your edge out, it's going to heat the glue up and it'll tack instantly. And like, as soon as he said that, I was like,
And flush out the soap.
yeah, flush the soap out and get the glue hot and it'll tack instantly. I was like, oh my God, dude, that makes so much sense. I ran back up to my room, got the water as hard as I could, put a couple of microfibers around my bottle, just try to insulate it, taped it up, and then filled it with hot water. And I used to compete in the first round. And that was the only year, but I actually made it to the finals that year. And it's like, wrapping the edges with that, because I used to always avoid wrapping edges, but at that point it had become like industry standard.
Yeah.
Like now it's like really regarded. Like if you're not wrapping your edge, like you're just trying to slap something on and move on.
Depending what panels you're doing too.
Yes.
Because some people try to do like the Instagram wrapping, and it's not gonna hold up. It's for the photos, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not
Practical.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
it's not the
practical.
right way. Everybody has their own way of doing things, but that's not my way, you know.
It's all on what you're setting up for your how you
Set your expectations.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
customer expectations.
Exactly. It's when we first started wrapping, we tried putting everything in one piece. It was like, we got a one piece, no seams. And then come
Yeah,
to
that was me
realize,
too.
yeah, you come to realize, I started looking at everyone else's wraps. I'm like, why are we torturing ourselves? And then also you have those areas that where it looks good when you first install it, and then it gets out in the sun and something pops because you stretched it way too far, and you should have put a seam in this body line, and it will actually last past that. And then it's like I have a conversation with the customer, like, all right, there's 2 ways we can go about this. I can put it in one piece, but I'm telling you right now, this deep channel around here, if I do that, it's probably going to pop. And I'm telling you, if that's how you want it, that's fine. But if it pops, that's on you. It's not on me, because I'm telling you, it should not be done that way. If we put a seam all around here, which you're not going to see really unless you walk up on it, it's going to last. And like, why are you wrapping your car? Especially on the commercial side, it's like you're wrapping your vehicle because you want your logo, you want the billboard to last as long as possible. Color change, I could see more likely someone pressing for like a full panel, but still when it gets to a certain breaking point, it's just like, I can do this, but the color might distort. It might pop on you, and it's not going to last. You're not going to get longevity out of it.
Well, also with some people that do, I'm not saying everybody, but some people that do one piece a lot of stuff, they use a lot of adhesion promoter.
Yeah.
And long term, that's destroying your paint. And what's the point of doing that if it destroys your paint?
Oh,
You know what I mean? I removed a car wrap maybe 2 months ago, and they primered every edge, and it literally would not come off. Like we had to superheat it and scrape it off, and it was damaging the paint at that point. And it's like, I mean, yeah, it looked good, but at what cost? Like literal whole paint job?
You now be wrapping your vehicle constantly, and let alone getting it off. If it damaged the surface, when we wrap it now, you're going to see the crack. You're going to see all the damaged paint underneath. So yeah, now you get to paint your car.
Yeah. Now it's worth less.
Yep. No, that was kind of the main reason for me pulling off the color change. And now we still get asked constantly, and there's certain customers I'll do it for, like, because they've been our customers for so long. And like, and with those customers too, I already know, like, I can set the expectations with them and tell them, like, all right, this is what it's gonna, like, what are you doing this for? You trying to have a quick change for a little bit? Like, what are you trying to get out of this? And usually after those conversations, majority of the time, they end up going, never mind, because just do paint protection. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
that works, and then I think what's going to be coming soon, which is already happening, is the color change paint protection. As that keeps getting better and better, I think that's going to slowly phase out color change wraps, because now you can actually put something on that's going to protect the paint. And as those get better and better, it'll get cheaper to buy. The technology will get better. Now you have dry installation PPF. I've yet to get my hands on any, but I've heard nothing but kind of good things about it. But now it's like I can sell my customer 2 things: I can change the color of your car, and I can actually truly protect your paint from a rock chip now.
With a much longer warranty.
Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah.
Yep. Instead of saying, hey, you got 4 3/4 on your sides, and on your hood and roof, you got 1.5 years.
Well, actually, depending on the brand, I don't use like the Chinese Instagram brands like Tiny Bot, Tech Wrap, stuff like that, because that stuff damages paint. It's terrible. When you do seam it, it has like a white glue line, so you can really see the ugly seams.
Yep.
But I've had a lot of good luck with like Avery, 3M, KPMF, Hexus. And like some of them, you can ceramic coat them and they'll last a lot longer. It actually makes it look a lot nicer too. Yep. And like you said, it really depends how people wash their cars. And the soaps too. Like the type of soap that you're using to wash your car is really important. Like you want to get something that has like a wash and wax in it. So every time you're washing it, it's not like destroying
top coat.
Yeah, the vinyl.
Yep.
Yeah. Because like the drive-through ones, they use such an aggressive soap that it actually fades your vinyl so much faster. Because when I had my car wrapped purple, I was going to like the self-serves, and I noticed after a while that it was literally fading because my purple had a pinkish tone to it, and it literally took all the pinkish tone right off of it because I kept using that place. And I never really understood why I was doing it until I just watched a video of someone else explaining it, and like, yeah, it really depends the type of soap that you're using.
Right. That's where it comes back to those setting the expectations of the customer is how do you take care of your car? Like, I'm not trying to not be rude or intrusive, but like how do you take care of your vehicle? And if they're like I hand wash it once a week, stays in the garage, I do this, and this. I'm like, okay, like
that's a wrap.
Well, and this is the type of conversation that helps even on the sales sides of things. If you're having that type of conversation with the customer, letting them know like, hey, once I'm done, we're going to recommend you use this type of soap when you clean it to make it last longer. that's value you're adding that maybe the other guy's not adding. So it allows you to have a price point where you're actually going to be profitable.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that just like we do that with Tint for sure. Every one of our customers gets a can of glass cleaner, ammonia free, has the care instructions on there. So like you're knocking that off. You're providing the extra value of here's the glass cleaner that is safe. It's got the care instructions printed on there for you. And it just happens to be branded with our logo and stuff. So now they can't forget who you are. The next time they open the pantry and see the glass cleaner sitting there, maybe they were just getting hit with sun from the kitchen window. Like, oh yeah, I can tint that window. Like,
Yeah.
So like provide extra value, allows you to keep your prices up or raise your prices. And just by providing that extra value, you're setting yourself apart from the next guy.
Yeah, and I've actually, because I talk to a lot of different shops. A lot of my friends have shops, and I work with a lot of freelance people. Like we just team up together sometimes, and it's a big project. And it's actually kind of crazy that nobody says those things. Like, oh, here's your car, here's your keys, where's my money?
Yeah.
No aftercare instructions. Don't wash it for a week. If it's peeling, let me know. 1-year warranty. They just pick up your car and leave.
Yep.
Yeah, those are the easy ways to separate yourself, but it's crazy that everybody doesn't do it.
Educate. The more you can kind of fill your customer in, especially even the glass cleaners that we give away. The other big part of that is they're going to take that glass cleaner. It might be sitting somewhere, and then someone might see the can and go, "Oh, what's this?" Now it's self-promoting us. So it's not and that's the unfortunate part about our industry is that we do have those people if they're knowingly doing that and they just don't care, those are the people I have a problem with. But then you have a section of people that just, unfortunately, they're not at the point, they don't know better.
Educated.
Yeah. It's no, and they were either at a place that just wasn't doing it. So they don't even know that would be a good idea to throw that, like to even talk about it. Cause it's free. Like it's going to get you out of more trouble than it'll put you in 10 out of 10 times. If you're able to actually let the customer know, like, hey, this is what to expect from this. And this is how you should take care of it. This is how you get longevity out of it. If you do these things, like even when it comes to clear bra, like they do a partial. If you wax your car, you have someone wax your car, make sure they go with the seam. Don't go into it. If you pile a bunch of wax into that thing, it's going to pop.
Don't pressure wash the edge.
Yep. Yeah, all that stuff. Absolutely. So have you ever thought of getting into flat glass?
I do it.
Okay, so you do
commercial and residential. It's not something that I'm pushing, but every now and again, I just have people that kind of hit me up for it, like friends of friends, or there's just like one specific lady that owns like 20 restaurants, Korean barbecue restaurants. And I did one door for her. And then like 2 years later, she called me to do like 3 or 4 stores, which was cool. I do like it, but it's not something that I have like the clientele for.
Yeah.
But I like it. The profit margins are nice. I'm working indoors. It's usually a lot more chill environment.
Yes.
But yeah, it's not something that's like super in my piggy bank.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's going from the wraps then into the auto tint, but those two will naturally start feeding that.
Yeah.
Like, all you have to do is make the mention to them, hey, I do this too. And it also takes like you do that one door for that lady, and then 2 years later, all of a sudden you're doing 2 to 3 restaurants. Yeah. Like that one door was so well worth it. Took a little time for it to pay off, but it absolutely paid off. And then assuming that you crush those 3, who knows when she's going to call you again and say, hey, I got a couple more. And then it just never stops feeding itself.
Yeah. On that one door, I made no money too, because I didn't know any like residential commercial flat glass. So I bought the roll. I was already negative $100, and I paid one of these other guys that mentored me for auto, but he also does residential and flat glass. And I paid him, I don't know, whatever was left on the bill, and I just watched him do it.
Smart.
Yeah, and it paid off in the long run, though.
Yeah, it's super smart.
Very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like I said, you're light years ahead of a lot of people.
So do you have a physical location now?
I sublease.
Okay.
I sublease from 3 or 4 different people, and it really just depends what I need to do that day. But I'm mobile too, so I'll go to a lot of people's houses and wrap their cars. And recently, I just went to the Roush, Roush Performance. I went to their kind of like their storage facility, and I wrapped one of their coworkers' cars in there. They just left me alone. It was pretty cool. Nice controlled environment.
Get your foot in the door.
Yeah. I've done one commercial job for them that I'm not allowed to talk about what I did, but I did it for them. It's pretty cool, and they kept my phone number. Said if they ever need anything else, they're gonna give me a call. But I do a lot of mobile work, a lot of mobile work, and then like I said, if I need to sublease, I do. If I get commercial jobs, I have access to like an 8,000 square foot shop that prints on demand. So like, it's really easy when I get the big like van wraps or box trucks or whatever. I work with the people that already are there, and I just do the installs. They print. It's all ready for me while I'm prepping.
We are going to have we're going to further that conversation when we get done, because we have a printer in house and I'm so close to just getting rid of it. And as long as I can make a connection where I know I can send a job to someone just to print, and then I'll just increase my prices accordingly to counteract, because I know they got to make money. It's because having our printer, at least the one we have now, the previous one we had for 10 years, and it had its issues here and there, but the one we have now, we have multiple like, ink problems and issues with it. And I don't know if it's because we're not.
You have to run them.
Yeah, we're not running a lot.
You have to run it every day.
Yeah, see, like we just like the car you walked by that's wrapped. We had printed how we were going to attack that when we printed the main stripe down the entire middle, stuck that, and then after that was stuck, we were going to adjust our panels past that. We printed it on, I think, a Thursday. It then got installed on Monday or Tuesday, and then all of a sudden our printer started printing pink instead of red.
Well, that's actually pretty common. Like if you don't print everything in the same day, sometimes it's not exact.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I should have known better. I did know better. And it just was one of those things. It was a time necessity thing. It's like, oh, we can get this off right now. We printed that. And it's like, all right, we'll get, because at the time my guy was already sticking something else. So I was like, all right, we got to this. He stuck it. And it's, I definitely, obviously another learning lesson. He stuck that entire section. And then after they came and fixed the printer, because there was something wrong with it, it had serviced, they came out and serviced it, had it up and going. It was printing like red again. As soon as we printed the first panel, we put it up to it, and we're like,
a little different.
And I was just like, all right, so I know you're not going to like this, but I'm still going to, obviously, I'm going to pay you for wrapping a car technically in half. And it just, that's on me, is you got to rip that off and restick it. And he's just like, I'm like, I know, man. I'm like, that's on me. That's not on you. So you're going to, I'm going to take care of you, and you're going to get paid for wrapping what you wrapped and what you had to do. Like that's completely on me. I should have and did know better, and just was trying to piece too many jobs together at once, and it bit me in the ass. And live and learn.
Yeah, this place that I used to work for, they gave me 2 printers that were broken because they just wanted them gone, and I was thinking about fixing them, but one of the people that worked there said, like, dude, if you're not running it every day, like, it's gonna cost you more than it's gonna make you.
Yeah.
And I kind of just took his advice and sold them, and then I keep my people that print for me, like, I just keep them on, on the good side. Whenever I need something, they're usually available.
I'm assuming that it's just pretty much like graphic shops that you just create a relationship with. Well, they'll print stuff off for you.
Yeah, I talked to like 5 or 6 different shops, because some of them do a lot of convention work.
Yep.
So like convention season.
Don't bug me.
Yeah, they're not even answering the phone. They're working 30, 40 hours shifts, like constantly. So you definitely have to keep a couple phone numbers around convention season, but yeah, you just got to keep good contacts.
Yeah, it's just like wrapping the vehicles. Having a guy who can take a vehicle apart is having the right network pieced together, knowing that it can always be taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Even if one guy's not available and he's like the guy usually most people will have another guy that they know when they need help. They're like, oh, call this guy,
Yeah, no, because if you having one printer, like you said, it's got to be running constantly. As soon as you jump to the part where you have 2 printers, or to forego that, you already have the relationship with another shop that you're able to say, all right, I need this printed too, but my printer's going and I can't stop it because of this project. Like, that's something that I need to start building on. Like he was saying, like as one problem arises, you solve it and the next one pops up, and put them in a list of priorities best you can, and just always attack the top of the list and keep working your way through it. Also realizing that's never going to go away.
So I actually just saw an Alex Duran video like 2 days ago where he's talking about this in the coolest way. Kind of what you're talking about earlier too, with like you just got to do something before it's perfect. Just start taking action. But Hermosi was talking about like make a list of the top 5 important things. What is the number one thing that has the most leverage that's going to move the needle the most? And they'll put the entire team that's all they're focused on. That's the only priority until that problem's solved. And a lot of times you'll end up finding out that maybe the other 2 or 3 of the other items that are in that top 5 are solved by actually taking care of the number one priority. Reassess what those are again. All right, what's number 1? That's the only thing we're focused on. And then again, is it a permanent decision, or is it like, if you make this decision right now and you move this way, how easy is it to run back and change and do something else? And the more, I'm forgetting the word.
Consistent?
No. Like
repetition?
When you're if you change something, how
adapt?
Yeah, so like if we hire somebody, that's less of a reversible decision than just like changing a price, right?
Yeah.
Like you change the price on something and you run it for the next week and see what happens. You can reversible or irreversible decision. How reversible is that decision versus how irreversible is the decision? The more reversible it is, the faster you should move, and just always stick with your top priority. Like if that's where you're at, that top priority, the thing that's going to move the needle the most and have the most leverage, is probably going to change what the next thing you need to fix is anyways. So anytime you spend working on items that aren't the number one priority, when you actually do finally take the time to solve the number one priority, you might have just wasted all the time you spent on number 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, and then like if it's like an opportunity type of thing and it's really important, if you wait too long, the opportunity could just sweep right from under you.
Exactly.
Action it. Don't talk about doing it. Action it. Make it happen. Because by the time you actually action it, if you take too long, it could be pointless at that point.
Yeah, someone else could already got up on the offer.
Yep.
Like I sometimes I like buy and sell cars with my brother, and like if you wait too long, someone's already picked that car up.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
Yep. Gotta action it. Absolutely.
Timing's huge. Speed is insanely important. And if you can understand that idea of reversible and irreversible, how fast can I move on something? And then really knowing what the real priority is. That's been the thing that's helped us the most working with Ryan, is we sit down and go, okay, this is where we're at. This is what we think the problem is. And like, okay, well, let's see, is that really the problem? And then he'll break it down for us and we'll go, he'll identify, no, this is the actual priority right now. And we'll all agree, okay, cool. And then we put every bit of energy we have into fixing that problem right now. And then next time we meet with him, it's like, okay, well, that worked. And it worked better than we thought it was going to work. And now what we thought was our problem is not even a problem. And now it's this new thing.
Yep.
Every single time.
Yeah, we've had that. Yep. I would say close to every time we've sat down and talked with him. It's been that. It's like, all right, this is the problem. By the time we get back after we finish that one problem, the other issues that we thought we had are like, oh, those really aren't an issue no more.
And it's like getting your ego out of the way of thinking that you completely, sometimes having that outside perspective is, especially for us working together as a family and having our own opinions on things, having that has been huge for us. Do you have anybody you're working with, any family or anything? Have you trained anybody else?
Yeah, I try. It's hard. It's I don't know if it's like an authority thing or if it's just like, I'm your brother, so you don't feel like you have to listen to me. But it's hard when, like, I've been doing this 5 years, like if you do anything for 5 years, you're pretty good at it. I would hope.
Yeah.
It's just hard to teach. Like, I don't know. That's what I was going to ask you guys. Like, how do you guys get along as a family? Like, when you guys were younger, my age, did you guys have like authority problems listening to each other or working together or hard-headedness?
We kind of had
we were far enough apart in age that it wasn't an issue. And then by the time he was like coming in, I took off and kind of bailed and left him by himself. So
yeah, it happenstance how it kind of worked out. By the time I came in and started becoming full-time, he had stepped away and then he ended up joining the military. My sister wanted nothing to do with the company to begin with. And just like I was the one who always I stuck around. I was the installer. And then as he got out of the military and went into work for one of the manufacturers and then realized that this sucks. And then wanted to get back into the business, we opened up a sister location down in Texas. And that was going for about, a year?
A year and a half.
Year and a half or so. And then we just kind of started getting so busy out here. And then other personal things changed in his life to where he could move back out here. My parents approached me with it and I was like, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Because I know him as an installer and it was like hiring myself. Mm-hmm. Like I know the quality of work. And also I know if I need something done and hey, can you get this done? It's like I'm doing it. So there was like no problem with that at all. And then when my sister came into the company, she went to college. She'd worked for a couple of big corporations, and she was at a point she wanted a part-time job because she just had her first son. So she still wanted to work, but she wasn't trying to do a full-time thing. And they approached me with it, and I was like, perfect, because she's like our Swiss Army knife. She does everything in the background, like technically HR, helped with social media, like the organization of all that stuff. Like I knew it needed to be done, but like I was already
dedicate your time to it.
I was already spread thin in other areas to where it's like, no, especially when it comes to the books, like to make sure the books are right, the money's right, budgeting. Like I just want to be able to look at you and say, can I spend this? And if you tell me no, like, got it. Cool.
No, and especially when both of us were installers. So the business depended on the revenue we were generating installing. So it's like in the last year or two, we've pulled that away, and neither of us are really installing pretty much at all compared to what we used to do. I mean, I think I've installed 100 square feet of film this year because I'm just straight selling all the time.
Yeah, I haven't installed much.
We've had our moments where we don't get along or agree on something, but we both respect each other's ability and knowledge. Like even me coming back, he's won the Tint competition 4 times. I've won it once. And even before I won it, he had won it 3 times, right? Twice. I would tell people like, yeah, the only person in 2018, he was the only person that beat me. I took second. So I would always say like, yeah, my little brother is beating me in the Tint competition. He's the best in the world. But like, I'm cool with the only person that beat me in 2018 was my little brother. Like, that's kind of cool. Like, and I would joke, like his ego couldn't handle if I beat him. That's why I let him win. But yeah, we have our back and forth, but we've managed to work it out, and it's kind of played out over time. Like, I think if I never left and we just stayed here, there probably would have been more issues. But I came back knowing that like, hey, he's never left. He's got seniority in the business. I'm going to fill my role and be a part of it, and let's see what we can do. And then 2020, we pretty much took over together with our sister being involved. And we've got an amazing crew of people that have been with us forever. Jordan's been with us forever.
16 plus years.
Yeah, Brendan, our lead, our auto manager, who was our lead installer, who's been with us since he was like 16. His brother is now back there and one of our top installers. So it's like Amber, what is she?
Bookkeeper?
Admin. That's Ricky's wife's cousin.
Yeah.
So we've got like a really Armando, our flat glass manager, I met through jiu-jitsu. So it's like over time, we've had people from our lives come in that are like right for the role, and we've been able to figure it out. But we've also had tons of family members and friends come through, and it didn't work out, So I can probably twice as many as those people that it didn't work out with. So it wasn't just like everything worked out magically overnight. It was 40 years of going through people. And then the last 5 years of us taking over, we've gone through a couple people. Yeah. So that's the other thing is like, if you are trying to mentor someone or hire someone and bring them in, like you gotta be okay with it's just like the first window you tinted. You didn't expect that window to be perfect the first time you tried it, did you? Right? Like it's gonna be the same thing with hiring. You gotta try it. Get better at being able to be a leader, coach, mentor, and learn from those experiences that it's not going to work every time.
Older or younger brothers?
Younger. He's 18, I'm 20. So that's another thing too. I don't have a lot of leadership experience.
That'll just come over time.
Hard.
Yeah. That will come with repetition. Is he the type of person where he thinks he's doing it right, but you're like trying to say like, hey, you should?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay,
but he's very eager.
That's
very
good.
Eager.
That's what I was going to ask is like, how into it is it? Does he want to do it?
Yeah, he wants to do it, but it's a little hard to do like, it's this way's better than this way, But like, he's more the type of person where he has to fuck up the way he's doing it to try my way. I'm like, oh, that is a better way.
Yeah, sometimes you got to let that happen.
Yeah, I was going to say that'll come with it. Just like how it took you 5 years to get to the point you are installation wise. Like right now we're at the point of like us standing at the academy and everything like that's, I'd say one of the things that's slightly holding up at the moment, like we finally have logistics of obviously the windows and everything. Mm-hmm. And we had an original game plan of like, he's going to teach his way, I'm going to teach my way. But now we've come to the conclusion, like that's not going to be very good if we're bringing a class in like, hey, you can do this, but you can also do this. Like, no, we're gonna game plan together. I'm gonna tint all the windows. He's gonna tell. We're gonna record it. We're gonna see how much time each person took, and then we're gonna go window by window and figure out like what was the most efficient, best way to do this. Because when it comes to quality, we're on top of each other. We're the exact same thing. So now we're trying to actually put out there, how can we actually get the knowledge into someone's head to where they can be receptive of it and get to the point of being able to install within a 3 to 4 day class of installing regular film. Giving them 2 different messages to begin with is not going to work. You know, we're going to tell people, hey, this is how we do it. This is how we found our success. You can go online and find a million other ways, typically, to do it.
Every single video teaching how to tint a residential or commercial window is different.
Oh,
I've gone through and watched them all. Everybody shows something different.
Yeah, and it's the personality too.
Yeah.
Like, everyone has a
absolutely.
different personality.
Yeah.
And everyone has a different way of doing things. Like, because Rob's taught me a lot of flat glass. I definitely shout out to Rob for a lot of things. But like the way that he cuts his bottom edge is he'll put his finger over here and then drag the blade. But the way I like to do it is hold the blade and put my finger right behind the blade.
Yep,
that's what I do.
Right here. And
I'll do both though. I'll use my finger with my cutting hand and my other hand.
Yeah.
I'll get it. Same thing. I'll get it initially tucked. And as soon as I know my corners are cut and it's tucked, then it depends. It will either be, depending on the type of window, and I'll be using my finger just to cut, or on sides, I really won't put my other hand won't go in to push down. But definitely on the bottom, you do have to be a little bit more weary of making sure that's nice and tight. Otherwise, you'll get that wave.
Yeah, like
gap
right towards the end,
right
you'll
there.
get a little bit of a.
See, that's where I
and
turn
then
over.
that's where I've even learned, depending on the frame and how you're able to keep. In my mind, I've always thought of it, if the angle of my wrist changes, that's what's going to mess it up. So if I can't pull straight through without my angle of my wrist staying straight because of how far the wall comes out or whatever, I'll even stop and I'll bleed it back from the other side.
Yeah.
And I've gotten good at being able to determine like the angle of my blade to make that just feather right into itself.
Because that's the hard part. Because when you go from cutting like this to flipping the blade over, you just change the angle of where you're cutting.
Depending on the type of blade you have. Too.
Yeah.
I like
That too.
red dots because like that one had the way that one has like a pointy tip to it. It's weird, but if you have the red dots curvy.
So that's what's so funny is that's what I've always tinted with is a silver. So I like using a red dot to me seems weird, but that's where we agree that it's an art. There's 100 different ways to do it. But if you're trying to systematically like teach people how to do it a certain way,
jump.
like here's the way that we're going to do it and teach our guys in-house because we know we can repeat this over and over again. Once you get good at that, take and learn tips and tricks from wherever. And there might be a scenario where another technique is going to work better. Put those tools in your tool belt, use them when you need them. But like you can standardize a lot of the process to just make it easier to replicate. So if you have a whole crew, especially when you're getting to a crew of guys, I want a crew of 4, 5, 6, 7 guys, all having the same base and knowledge so that when somebody new comes in, it's easy for them to teach. And as you teach, you even realize, and I've noticed this over the years of teaching people, you just start doing it and then they're like, well, wait, what'd you just do? And like, oh, I skipped the little detail of how my wrist is or whatever. And like, as you teach that, you start actually identifying stuff you're doing that you didn't even realize you were doing.
Yeah. I was talking to my friend yesterday, like literally as we were wrapping the whole side of a car and we were just talking and working. And I was like, bro, do you just like work without thinking about working? He's like, yeah, bro, I can just do this and think about something completely different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was my favorite thing about being when I was the main installer. I can go to someone's house, I can throw a podcast on, I can throw a book on, and I just get to work. And even while I'm doing that, I can actually consume the knowledge. Like now it's like I'll try to put a podcast on if I'm trying to do something within one of our programs or like I'm replying to certain things. Like I have to turn it off. Like especially if it's something that like I actually want to listen to, because it's like I'm trying to focus on this and actually trying to do that, but then listen at the same time. I can't do those two together. But installing, absolutely. Throw some music on, throw a podcast on, and I'm not even paying attention to what I'm doing. And it just naturally happens.
I'm the same way.
I can't fix a car and listen to something that I want to listen to, but I can wrap a car and listen to something.
Yeah.
And then, well, quick thing with the cutting thing, your elbow is really important too.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know that. But
Yeah.
the guy that taught me, he was like, if your elbow's not straight, you're not going to cut straight.
Yeah.
So I always like, that's just one thing for like.
Oh yeah, as soon as you change the degree of how you're twisting this blade, if you can't control that, and that would be the best way to definitely is to make sure if everything's lined up, you keep everything the same. it'll stay the same. As soon as you start twisting, like even like on French paints, I'll twist my blade out a little bit. I want my gap to be a little bit bigger. And it's like we set that standard with our customers. Like, it's let you know, these windows, if you want them to come out, what we'll do is you'll have a gap that technically is going to look a little bit bigger than the other windows, but that is for the sole purpose of no contamination, clean, but it has to be equal.
Consistent.
It has to be consistent. Because as soon as it's not consistent, you have a tight spot and then you have a wide spot. Like that's not going to pass.
That stands out.
Yeah, that stands out. If you're
Like
consistent around everything.
Pane.
Huh?
From like pane to pane.
Yeah, like little French panes like that door.
Yeah, because whatever they mean, you see the two up top. If the two below look a little different, like it's not like I did two here and I did two over there. It's right on top of itself. So you better be consistent through every single pane. Do it the exact same way. Because as long as it's all consistent, it looks fine. As soon as there's a little inconsistency, then it looks like you just hacked on some tint and it don't look good. So it's now that we're getting a lot more heavier into the training side, with training our guys, because like one of the conversations we had when you first came in, it's small little popping that we talked, is that we're taking people that technically don't know nothing in the industry. And it's not to say that anyone's got bad habits that's already learned, but it's a lot easier to teach someone with a blank slate. And then also, like, the reason why this hasn't technically gotten launched yet is I want to make sure I'm putting a product out there that you're going to walk away with knowledge. And like, I can tint any window you throw at me and do it without thinking. Now, teaching that person how to do it, that's a completely new skill. And that's definitely something I've come to realize. And I had to understand, like, I know what I'm doing, but now I have to be able to break down every little step that I'm doing, because a small little nuance of me twisting my blade, or if I'm not cutting out my corner, you can still get a clean cut, but you have to do a completely different operation where you are dragging your blade against the frame and then pulling it away by keeping the tension at the bottom at the same time. And it's like, I can just do it real quick. I always do it like this. And it's like, all right, there's at least 10 steps in there that I need to explain to you. This is how this is doable, and just realizing all those small steps, they do matter. And then let the person rep it out. Like, after you've gotten down the basics, like, the only way for them to understand it is to start doing it. Is do it over and over again. And when you do it, like, I'll see what you do and like, all right, see this cut right here? This is why this happened. Now try it again. Have them do it again. And do it again.
That's the one reason I haven't like personally taken on one of my sisters or brothers or like aunties or girlfriend or something to train them, because it's going to cost me time and money, like right off the bat. And I know it'll, like, long term, obviously it's worth it. It's just like right now, it's like there's so much shit to do and I have to do it.
Yeah, that'll be there until you look at it the same way you did when you started out doing stuff for free, because you're building the experience. It's the same thing, right? But you have to be in a place where, like,
you can lose that time.
Yeah,
it's not going to crush you.
Yeah, like, so that's where not getting in debt, not going out and buying new stuff, and like just factoring that into the investment you have to make. Because no matter what, if you want more people, you're going to have to train more people. So that has to be somehow figured in.
Well, and then also too, how you train that person. Like, and maybe instead of like, hey, this is what I'm going to teach you first. I'm going to teach you how to clean windows. Because that you can get an instant return on. Because now you can start throwing up film. Yeah. Like when Jordan first started working for us, he was asking me for a summer job, and I brought him on as my assistant in flat glass. And so me and him just worked together. So I taught him how to prep windows. I was dumb at the time and only kept him on the prepping window part. Like, I did teach him how to tint, and I should have let him just start installing, because eventually it would have paid dividends for me in the fact that we could have done even more square footage. We had such a good system where when we go in, I'd start ripping blinds down. He would start prepping everything. By the time I got that done, I was able to go to my first window and just drop roll, put the film on, cut, tack everything, get it to a point where we got efficient enough to where he was hopping on the window right after me, finishing off my edges, wiping down. And then we just had a really good,
that's still currently what we do a lot of.
Well, it is. But at that time, that is what was the best system for us, is like, hey, I'm going to train you to make me faster. And then as we do this, you need to pay attention, but I will show you the little things as I progress. Now, since we have this, I'm going to be able to devote time to where I can bring in like a couple people at a time and say, I'm going to train you for 3 days straight. And you're literally going to put up about maybe 1,000 more square feet, because I'm going to show you and then I'm going to have you start doing it. And then you're going to do it again and again. And then when I feel like you've gotten that down, I'm now going to apply pressure. All right, get it done in 10 minutes. Now do it in 8 minutes. start applying that pressure and see where, because that's going to bring out the flaws or the inadequacies of how they're installing, to where I can then point that stuff out to where we can speed up that learning curve. So I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on this, which we've already started doing with our guys inside, but now it's finally at a point where we've solved the other problems to where now one of my biggest problems is I need installers.
Yeah. And the thing that, it's not that it sucks, is I do everything. I do tints, wraps, customs, paint protection film, commercial, auto, residential. And it's hard to teach someone everything.
Oh yeah, can't do.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Start with one, and then like every person I've hired, I've told them like, I'm pulling you in this department. This is where I want you to master this first. And then I already have some of my flat glass guys that like they've dabbled into wraps themselves, and like, okay, can I buy vinyl? Can I do this? I'm like, absolutely. Like, I have an extra roll. Like, here,
Just take it.
take it. This has been sitting here for 2 years. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. Do your thing. And like they're learning that way. But I've told all of them, like, in this industry, if you want to get to the top, be a top earner in this industry as an installer, get really good at one thing and then start adding tools to your tool belt. If you're able to, where say all of a sudden we do have a slow month in houses, but our cars are going crazy. If I'm able to push you over there, absolutely, I'm gonna push you over there. It just allows it to where you're not gonna have any dead time, because one thing might slow down, the other's gonna pick up. I push you that way.
Yeah.
But being able to do everything is a great end goal to have, but don't try to do it too soon, because then you're going to hurt your learning and your growth in that one skill, and you'll be a jack of all trades, master at none. And just slowly build it up. Like, I started off with auto to begin with. I consider myself an auto installer at heart. That's where I started. And then I got into flat glass. And then like wraps were just kind of like something we did, stickers. And then, yeah, and it just slowly evolved. And we had a cutter, and then we ended up getting a printer. And then like wrapping, like it was pretty much me and Jordan just like, all right, we'll figure this out. And like my dad's like, stick it on. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not how that goes. Like, even paint protection. My first paint protection I did was a Ford Expedition. I'll never forget it. My dad handed me a roll and said, here. And I was like, okay. And like at that time, I was a good auto installer. I could tint really well. And I was like, all right. And he's like, yeah, you just squeegee it on. I'm like, okay. Yeah. And this was like in 07 when like paint protection material, it was
it that late?
Yeah.
Dang, dude.
Cardboard. Absolute cardboard. The first roll I touched was Solar Guard's Clear Shield, their original Clear Shield. You had to use a steamer. Like, hot water wasn't even nowhere near a thing, but you had to use a steamer to stretch it in position. And then learning about alcohol. Don't overdo the alcohol because you singe the glue, and it's like,
like ghosting it.
Yeah. So like paint protection, I definitely just learned by trial and error. And then like, that's still the one thing that I do that I think is on my lists of talent. I would say auto, flat glass. I still say auto first, even though I've won a bunch in flat glass. Like the auto title has eluded me, and it really pisses me off, because that's the one thing I thought I still think that I'm better at is an auto. Auto, flat, then paint protection, and then wraps. But every time I do a paint protection, even still now, when it goes out, I still have doubts on it. I'm just like, I mean, did I do a good enough job? But then I see work come in that's like from the dealership.
It's like botched.
Oh, 1/2-inch gap around the whole front part of the Dodge Ram. I'm like, never mind, I'm good. Like, I'm good enough.
Guys' wraps and paint protection, do you shove them in the sun for like an hour or two before you send them out?
So we've slowly, when we first were doing paint protection, I was the only installer, and it was like something that, for me at least, like I wanted to turn around that day, and not realizing don't do that. It's not a smart move. So now every time we get paint protection now, we tell them you're leaving it overnight. So it gets installed, even a partial. Like, depending on what partial is, sometimes we'll tell them we'll get it back to them at the end of the day. If it's a really simple bumper,
just like a hood or something.
Yeah, something real simple, then we'll tell them by the end of the day. But like full front ends, you're leaving it overnight, because we're going to install it. We're going to put it in the sun. We're going to bring it back in, go over it again. And then I want it to sit all night, because as soon as it sits all night, it's going to expose any excess moisture that I have, where I can actually extract that right then, or any air pockets that may have been slipped through or dried out too fast. And I can extract those right then. But no, paint protection, and even with wraps too, it's like I'll tell them 3-4 days. I know it's only going to take 2, but I'd rather have the extra time just in case I do mess something up, so I don't have to tell them like, hey, messed up, need more time. It's at worst, best case scenario, I call them at the end of day 2 and say, hey, it's ready for pickup on the 3rd day, and then they're ecstatic. But if they still get it back on the 4th day, they're still ecstatic.
What they're expecting.
Yeah, it's what they're expecting.
Set the expectation.
Yeah. So we've definitely evolved tremendously in those two categories. So it's never, you never stop learning. As soon as you're at a point where you think that you know everything, you're hamstringing yourself. You're doing damage to yourself. Like that is one thing where I'll say like what you should do this year. And I can help you coordinate getting some backing too. You should go compete.
Dude, I was gonna talk to you guys about that. I want to just to see where, like you said, just to see where I place.
Yeah, it's in Reno this year.
And that's the main reason why I say it's a short flight. Usually it's always on the East Coast, it makes it a lot harder. Thankfully, we are blessed with the fact that we're able to get a bunch of different companies behind us and get them to sponsor us, cover flight, entry fee, and stuff like that. But it never hurts to ask a manufacturer or a company or a rep for it. And then what you'll get out of it, beyond seeing where you fall in line, is watch every other person you possibly can. Watch every round that you can. Watch the other people compete, because you're going to see people do stuff that's going to be like, why are you doing that? And then they put out a perfect window and you're like, I'm so confused right now. That's against everything I was taught. And yet you still put out a top 10 window. Like, and then when you do see those people, go talk to them. Mm-hmm. Majority of those guys will talk to you. Don't be afraid to approach them and ask them like, hey, why did you do this? Like there's two guys come to the top of my mind, Sal and Les Helton. They are two OGs in tinting. They've been competing forever. Sal has won auto, and he almost won first in both categories one year, but due to some technical rule difficulties, he ended up taking second in flat glass. And Les is probably one of the most decorated installers in the country, because he's been competing since 2004, and dude's a killer. They both side factory their window in flat glass. I don't understand why. It's the window's not bigger than 60 inches. You get a 60-inch roll. Why wouldn't you just roll it out, put this factory edge at the top of the window? But they'll side factory, and they've won. Like they are top echelon installers, and that's just how they install, and they're able to pull it off amazingly. It boggles my mind, but I've had numerous conversations with them where I've picked up little tips and tricks where it's every time I go and compete, I learn something new.
Yeah, I was learning from this one guy. His name was Frank, because he was like cutting out quarter glasses with like freezer paper, and I was like, "What are you doing, dude?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's how you make a pattern." Because back then, I used to work for a shop that would say we don't cut on glass, and like that's how he learned. And I didn't really like the freezer paper idea because you couldn't like exactly see where the matrix was.
Yeah.
So I just started taking liners.
I was about to say, yeah. We were doing that back in the day. That's how my dad used to do them. And they would keep liners of different vehicles and stuff too. So I've done that a bunch.
OG
but
pliers.
yeah, use the liner. Yeah. We would even, it wasn't so much about not putting the blade on the glass, just not taking the time to have to light it up and stuff. So we would even still just cut the liner out. But you could, if you don't want to cut on the glass, you can just use a black Sharpie and write it. And
I see a lot of that now, guys using like gold markers when they're cutting their door patterns. But I mean, when I was taught, I cut everything on the car, and it's just something that, and it also, dude, get good at that. You have to be okay with you are going to slice a rubber or two. And it's like, how much liability are you willing to take on to do it that way? It's like, even when it comes to popping door panels, some guys live by it, but that's how they're trained, and they get thrown into that instantly, and realizing this is how you pull this door panel back. This is how you pull this one back.
So you got to take them all the way off.
Exactly. So that's a whole other skill you got to learn. And then people start learning bottom loading. And so you don't have to take anything off, but you can still do the exact same thing. It took me about 6 to 8 months to actually get bottom loading down to a point where I thought I was finally putting a product out that I was like, all right, I'm doing it finally. And we have one guy, the one guy who taught me where I picked up all, I would say, my speed from was one of my dad's original installers. His name was Rod. He's still tinting to this day.
Hot Rod.
He's still tinting to this day. He works over at Precision on Raiders Way. And like, he was one of the fastest installers I've ever seen. Hand cutting too, like hand cut, install a vehicle in less than 40 minutes.
Double cutting?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Double cutting.
Yeah, when we're still hand cutting. That's how I always did it too.
And then he bottom loads. He was bottom loading in my eyes before anyone was. And he was doing it with metal.
Yeah, he had a big like 12-inch putty like spatula.
Yep. Yeah. Pull back and it would drop right in. And now I took that and I started using, like, first I was using plastic spatulas. And then the ones I liked a lot, they stopped making them at Home Depot. So then I switched to an Easy Reach. And up until me competing in 2012, I didn't see nobody locally using that, doing it that way.
The little platinum tool.
Yeah.
Corner card.
Yeah.
Once you start the corner and you work it, if you're putting enough pressure on the glass, most windows are just going to pop right in.
No, I got better at the fact of realizing on certain doors, as soon as if you have enough pressure on the window, it'll slide in.
Yeah.
But that just took time for me to start understanding that. But like the first time I saw someone use an Easy Reach was in 2012 in Louisville. First time I competed, it was Chris Brooks. Like I saw him do it, and it was like that was one of the guys that I was already kind of following a little bit because he had won the prior year. So in my eyes, like I was like, all right, so
Who is this guy?
yeah, exactly. It was like this guy's good. Like I know he's good. He won the previous year, and then in my eyes, like I wanted to go in. I wanted to dethrone him. That was I wanted to, and I saw him install that way. I'm like, I'm the only person I know in my kind of section of tinting of our industry in our state that I knew that actually bottom loaded. Everyone else at the time was starting to pop panels and pull sweeps out, which certain cars it makes sense. If I can do it in less than 30 seconds and I'm not worrying about snapping a clip, pull the sweep out. And then now I'm at a point where like I usually hardly ever pull sweeps out just because I've gotten so good at bottom loading with the card. It's like, why waste my time?
Well, and now it too. Have you ever used the B load? So like now people are making all kinds of tools to do it. Even like the
Fernando Sands.
Is that it's his invention? Yeah.
He's dominating right now.
So he made a really cool device that's specifically for that. Which I haven't tinted a car in a while, so I haven't tried it, but it looks badass.
And like you put it in there and then like it hooks.
It slides.
On
No. It's little and it slides with you.
I have those, but I tried to use them. I hated it because I don't know. I don't think I had put enough time into it.
Yeah, it's probably got to learn how to use it.
It's just using the tool over and over again and figuring out how to use it. The first one I saw that was developed like that was from Dean Mitchell at Expel, except for his was like this wide, his big old metal piece. And it's like one of those things. I used it. I understood how to use it, but like I just didn't want to take the time in using it because I use my Easy Reach. And then from there, it slowly evolved to people making smaller ones in plastic. And then the B load came out, and it's like everyone has been learning from the previous tool. Like, all right, how would I want to adjust this for how I install? I mean, in Fernando right now, WFR competition is happening actually right now, and I just looked at the scores yesterday. I'm pretty sure he's in the final of like 4 competitions. The dude's an absolute killer.
Yeah, he's a savage.
Yeah, he's an absolute killer. He's probably going to win the Ironman again this year.
Oh,
Keeps placing the way he's placing. He's killing it.
That is this weekend. I've been seeing it on social. Ugh. I was going to go to it this year.
Started yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday
We
was the
got
first
too
heat.
busy. Right now we're booked out on Flat Glass like 3 weeks. So I was like, there's no chance I could leave right now.
Yeah. And I was just getting back from a family vacation. So it's like I was already gone for 10 days. I can't really, it makes sense to be able to go out there and compete, have content and do stuff like that. But I already knew that we're already hitting busy season. So
When does
I
it
can't
end?
be gone. Tomorrow.
It started this weekend?
No, it started on Monday. It was Monday through Wednesday.
Oh.
That's why I didn't go.
I could have actually made that happen.
I told you.
Oh, well.
I told you.
Well, I'm here right now instead, so that's good.
Yeah.
Hey, I had a question about low E coatings because I know there's 3
The
there's
common ones,
Yeah.
Common one.
like surface 1, 2, 3, right?
Well, so there's actually, you could have it on any of the surfaces. The most common out here is going to be surface 2, which is especially soft coat. Pretty much.
Where is that one located? The
So-
inside of the first pane?
So so exterior surface is surface 1. The inside of that pane of glass is 2. The inside of the interior pane is 3. And then the interior surface is surface 4. The most common thing we see out here is surface 2, especially on newer homes. It's like a triple silver coating, which actually means almost anything safe on the inside of it because that's blocking so much energy.
Wait, sorry to interrupt you. So surface 2 is on the exterior, but
Yeah.
the inside pane of the exterior?
Yeah, so it's on the interior of the exterior pane of glass.
So if we're looking at that window right there, that's the exterior of a house. If
Okay.
I can go up and touch it, surface 1. Surface 2 is on the opposite side of that pane that I can touch. So we can't get to it because it's inside the unit itself.
I see.
And then when you're inside the house, what you can touch is surface 4. On obviously the opposite side of that is surface 3. So
The biggest problem is surface 3 and 4. We don't really see surface 4 out here, but people in like the Midwest and in Europe are seeing a ton of it.
see,
Or
that's,
if it's installed backwards, right?
Or if the windows
Yes.
installed backwards. So that's the other good reason to check for it. Is like I even just found one the other day that I'd never seen before. It was surface 3, like triple silver. And I was like, this is weird.
that's odd.
So I tested the window next to it and it was surface 2 triple silver and it was a sliding door. It was the fixed window that had been installed backwards. So, and they had just done it. It was in the middle of a remodel, and I tested all the other windows because at first I was like, this is really strange. So they actually had the contractor come flip it because they just installed it the wrong
Yeah,
direction.
because if you would have like had to like change your ways, and that one window would have looked weird.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to, we would
I mean,
take
and
liability.
realistically, in that scenario, it might not have been as big of a problem. It's when it's a hard coat that it's a real big problem. And it would have maybe looked different. We had one recently that was commercial.
Surface 3 soft coat's still a big ass problem because it's going to let all the heat penetrate inward, and then it's going to reflect off the tint and just going to bounce in that single panel.
That's the problem. If you have Surface 3 and you tint Surface 4, any energy you're rejecting is being kind of held in that pane of glass
in between the two,
and it's going to radiate back in. So you're not even actually solving the problem. You're making it worse, and it could potentially break the window, especially if it's not tempered. It has a high likelihood of breaking that window.
So if you had a Surface 3 piece of glass,
we're going to go exterior film.
Exterior.
And is that just the way that you guys do it? Or because
that's the way everyone should do it.
And he was saying like there is different films that you can put on the inside.
Depends on what, like, at the end of the day, to me, I'm looking at what's the problem I'm trying to solve.
Okay.
So if they're looking for heat rejection, it automatically rules out any. There might be films that you could get away with that would still be safe interior, but they're not going to really increase heat rejection to any extent. And it might still be safe, but if they want to increase heat rejection, you got to go exterior. And I can give you better heat rejection. And the warranties on films for exterior are getting a lot better. Like even Solar Guard now, the Sentinel Plus line has a 10-year exterior warranty. 3M has a 10-year exterior warranty. Really just depends on the product you're using. But you start looking at some of these exterior films, especially like a commercial job is where we come across the most Surface 3 coatings. And typically it's older. So I don't know why at some point in time in the past they were installing those coatings out here, which are really more for cold weather. But you can get with a really reflective exterior film now, I can get a 91 T-Stir, so you're rejecting 91% of the energy coming through the window by attacking it on that exterior surface. You just put a similar silver film on the interior, you may be in the high 70s.
Yeah.
So you're getting higher heat rejection. It's safer for the window. And compared to then not testing the glass, putting maybe a dual reflective or a silver on the interior. And we've had this actually happen where we've gone out to a job. They had already done a section of this office, and somebody tinted the inside of it. It was a bad install. There's gaps everywhere. And then when I tested the glass on some of the windows that weren't tinted yet, I realized it's Surface 3 hard coat. Like they were complaining that the area that had already been tinted got worse. Like, well, yeah, that's what would happen.
That's what
it's reflecting the heat back
and then it's absorbing back in.
And that's what I was going to say. For us, Surface 3 always exterior. Yes, you can find films that will get approved by the manufacturer, but what you end up running into is that now that heat is trapped in that panel of glass, it may not break, but now that window is extremely hot.
Yeah,
now
making it worse.
It's just radiating heat inward. So
that's where I was getting at with like solving the problem. So if heat rejection is the concern, I'm not going to solve it with interior in that scenario. Maybe there's some weird scenario where they just want privacy, right? So I'll put like a clear frost on that window if they're just looking for day and night privacy, right?
Yeah.
So it's really depends on what is the problem I'm trying to solve. Yes, will it get approved and be safe is important, but the first thing is, what are we trying to solve for? Is it privacy? Is it heat rejection? Is it security? I put clear security on Surface 3 all day long, no problem. Right?
Well, like I said, like the one scenario where that would work out is if someone is looking for your fade protection. So you're going to put something on that's at least a 40% in darkness, so 40% VLT, and then it has the UV, the 99% UV coating on it. If you're doing those two and the window already has a triple silver low E on that, so the heat rejection requirements is already met. So you're gonna meet those two other requirements. So you'll prevent fading, but that's going to be at the cost of, hey, there's going to be radiating heat coming in. Some people are going to say, I don't care. I'm not worried about heat rejection. If it's going to go up a little bit, I don't care. I just want to put it on the inside so I know my paintings, my rug, my floor.
Or even look, right? So that's another one I learned from Miguel recently. A triple silver coating on Surface 2 actually opens your playbook up on the interior where you can go with a darker spectrally selective film like a Highlight 25, which won't get approved on most double pane windows. But because so much energy is being reflected on Surface 2 from the coating, that you can actually get it approved to go with a darker non-reflective that typically wouldn't get approved on a double pane window by knowing that that coating's there. So if they want darker, but they don't want reflective, sometimes the low E coating allows you to put something on. In the past, we would have just said, no, we're going dual reflective.
And is that more like a knowledge thing that you guys learned over time?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Shit, I actually can do this.
I mean, I just learned that one by having Miguel on the podcast and talking to him about it afterwards, and then like going over it. And we had a job that I sent him all the readouts for that they were looking for a specific look. And I didn't think that that was even, he mentioned like, well, what about highlight 25? And I was like, well, wouldn't that not, he's like, no, on this window that you just showed me, I'd be able to approve that. And that will give you the look that you're looking for. And I was like, oh, all right.
It's a little bit more paperwork on your end, just because you do have to send in the readings to the manufacturer, depending on what they're going to approve or not. And you have to get the glass check. You have to get that form actually filled out and get them to approve it. So they'll actually say they'll warranty the windows.
Yeah, it's not just like a right out the box, this film's approved. You still got to make sure that they give you it in writing that, you showed us what type of glass it was. You filled out this form, submitted it, and now and then they'll like literally email you a specific warranty for that project that it's approved.
Interesting.
The funny part you're saying about it, because like out here, we really don't see any surface 4 coatings, because usually surface 4, it's for colder areas. You want that as close as possible inside, keeps the heat inside. It's a better insulated window. Funny part was where I was this past week. I was in Pennsylvania at my wife's cousin's house.
Surface 4 everywhere.
I was looking at her windows and I saw that they were Anderson Renewal windows. I'm like, oh, those are nice ass windows. And I walked up to it and the bug stamp actually had all the information on it. I'm looking at the bug stamp, I'm reading it, and it's low E surface 4. So like I went and told her, I said, hey, if any of your kids are sticking stickers on the windows, do not put a razor to this window.
Fucking scratch the coating.
It'll destroy the coating. And she was like, I appreciate that. I was like, yeah, usually windows don't say this. And like I was pleasantly surprised to see it. Like I saw it. I was like, the only thing you could do for your windows is go exterior. And that is 100% the only thing you can do on Surface 4 is exterior install. You put film on the inside, even if you scrub it, if that film ever has to come off, you're replacing those windows.
Yeah, you'll get away with it in the short term. In the long term, you're going to pay for it.
You're going to pay for it, yeah.
Or somebody's going to pay for it, and your reputation's going to get dinged.
So what's your problem child, the 1, 2, or 3 in Nevada specifically, or Vegas?
Oh,
for what?
Just like more, not, what's the word I'm looking for? Like difficulty. Like, oh, now we got to put this on the outside.
Actually, exterior opens up to a lot easier installs, especially on a commercial setting, because now instead of doing a window that was one window that now is being split by a wall. So now the customer has a wall showing up in their window. And now that one window or the section of 2 windows is now 4 windows. If we go to an exterior install, I don't have to move your desk out of the way. I don't got to we don't have to put, sometimes what you do is you put a black stripe on the outside to hide the wall itself.
You don't even have to be there. If it's east facing windows, we can come in the evening and do it. If it's west facing windows, we can come really early in the morning and do it. Exterior actually has opened us up to be a lot more flexible with scheduling, and on commercial projects, you can get them done a lot faster and give a better result. So problem child wise though, I don't think there's anything specifically. I don't know.
Because of us opening ourselves up to using the meter, I think when it comes to commercial now it's really, are you selling the appropriate film to the customer? Even though they might be pushing for a certain look or a certain thing, we won't, we're not going to do it. Like as soon as we put the meter on the glass, the meter tells us what we can and can't do. And then after asking the customer the appropriate questions, what are you trying to solve here? Heat rejection, privacy. After asking all those questions and then putting the meter on the windows, you're going to have the playbook of like, all right, these are the 2 films that will solve your problem. Yes, we could install these other films, but it's not going to be cost effective for you at all. And that's what we'll like. This is what we'll sell you, because this is what solves the problem. Because we're not going to put something on your window that won't solve the problem, because then you're just going to be calling us back in about 6 months saying, hey, my room is hotter than it was to begin with. It's like, well, we told you we couldn't put anything on that side. It doesn't make sense. That's why you're experiencing that. So I would say now that we're actually implementing the meter, like no matter what, every window gets the meter to tell us the story that we need to know, the other half of the story, that it's kind of taken away the problem child.
Come to think about it, actually in the past, I would have said that right there. Like someone complaining that it's not holding out enough heat and it didn't change enough. if I had to bet, if we could go back in time to the handful of people that are like, this didn't work. If we were to go back and actually test those windows, it probably had a Surface 3 hard coat, and we really didn't make the problem any better. So we
made it worse.
So using the meter is actually like made that go away. I don't really have any customers that complain now. Everybody is like, yeah, it made a huge difference. I love it.
Even when selling like the technical high-end films.
That would be, I think, the one thing that could be looked at as a negative, but I think long-term it's a positive. It is really annoying when you go on a big, brand new, nice, fancy house and they want something light, non-reflective to hold out some extra heat, and they don't want it to be dark. Is like, once I meter that window, I'm straight up and honest with the customer. Like, look, my spectrally selective 70%, which is clear, great heat rejection, one of my more expensive films, and it would be awesome to do this 1,000 square feet in that film. It's not going to do much for you. So now it's educating the customer on, look, if you actually want to add anything to these, we either need to go exterior, which you're going from lifetime warranty to a 10-year warranty, or we need to go a little bit darker and full spectrum reflective, because that triple silver low E coating is reflecting most of the infrared. If you look at the solar heat gain coefficient on a triple silver low E window, it's really high. It's already blocking a lot of the heat, but it's mainly doing it the same way a spectrally selective film is doing it. It's reflecting infrared. That's why the window still looks clear, but it's holding out a ton of energy. It's reflecting the infrared spectrum, which is about half of the energy coming through the window. That's why a clear spectrally selective film has like a 54, 55 TSER. 50% of that is blocking infrared. The other 4%, 5% is the little bit of light that it's blocking out, because it is blocking out a little bit of light. Whereas a full, like a dual reflective film that's reflective on the outside, that's reflecting the full spectrum. So you're getting rejection on that other half that the infrared films aren't blocking.
What is the spectrum? Because I know there's infrared
and then the whole rest of it, right? So ultraviolet, visible light, like there's a whole spectrum, right?
Yeah.
The spectrally selective ceramic films are,
it's like 900
are mainly
to like 1400.
Yeah, they're highly targeted at blocking a very specific section of that infrared, which is where a lot of the energy is coming from.
And if anything, that's where a lot of controversy comes to in our industry too. It's more on the auto side, but the same thing happens on the flat glass side, because if you're selling that type of film on a window that has triple silver low E, you're just taking your customers' money. It's not really doing much.
It's making a small improvement, but nowhere near what we could do if we go exterior. Even exterior spectrally selective is going to have a better improvement than going on the interior, because you're hitting it before that coating. So, but you kind of need to go a little bit more full reflective. Then it's just like having Tint Wiz in place. When I do the bid and I tell them, look, 30% slate, which are dual reflective, this is going to give you a little bit better bump. It's going to add some privacy. It does look dark when you're looking at the sample sheet, but then I pull up in Tint Wiz the examples that we have of looking out like a split window like that, where we've got one window tinted in every different shade of film that we sell, and the other side untinted, looking out and looking in, and show them this is exactly the difference from a clear window to this 30%. And it doesn't look like a lot when you're actually seeing it split window by window compared to a sample. And most people are like, oh yeah, that's actually not bad. I thought it was darker than that.
I tinted this lady's house, and her husband sent her pictures, and she called him and was like, do the windows look lighter? And I tinted it with a 20. And I had to show him a side-by-side picture, like, yeah, this one's tinted, this one's isn't, if you want to show her.
Yeah.
That's people's biggest fear, is cutting out too much light. And you got to be really careful when selling to set and that's where the pictures, having those preloaded in Tint Wiz and putting them on every proposal for every shade of film and going through that with them in the sales process, has drastically reduced the number of people that want to switch shades or are not happy with the result afterwards. Because that was a big problem in the past. Like, you want max heat rejection? Here, go with a 10. And like, then you don't have that conversation about how dark it's going to make the room. You tint their whole living room, and then they're like, man, this is too dark in here. It feels like it's rainy out all the time.
Yeah. One thing that Rob taught me was whenever you go to do like a proposal or something, to like hold up the sample sheet, tell the customer to look at it from a few feet away, and like, this is how your window is going to look before you do it.
Yeah, the sample sheet. And then I'm a big believer on having been out doing sales for a little over a year now, consistently day in and day out. That picture is worth, like,
picture's worth 1,000 words.
I mean, you could do it just however you're going to do it, but using it through TintWiz is super easy because it's categorized in there. When I pull up the proposal, you can even have it pre-set up in your canned proposals if you know that it's going to be your dual reflective options where it's already loaded. So like you take all the measurements, go create proposal, slate, boom, the images are already in there. Everything about the film's already in there. And then if they're kind of between a 10 or a 30, I'll give both options in the proposal, show it to them, and then show them the difference of the picture side by side. Like this is what 10 looks like compared to nothing. This is what 30 looks like compared to nothing. And it makes it a lot easier decision when they can see a full window done. Because even the sample is deceiving. And because it's right, the contrast of having an 8x11 sample sheet next to the clear glass that's around it, the contrast makes it look darker than what it's really going to end up looking like to the eye once the whole window's done.
Yeah, no, it's making sure that you're asking and having the right conversation with the customer, setting the expectation, but also making sure that whatever their problem is, going after that problem.
And then when you do have the occasional, because it still happens a lot less often, where someone decides to go with like a 10 or a 15 and then they're not happy with it in a certain room. It's too dark or whatever. Like take care of that person. Yeah. Like we just had one the other day that they actually switched from 30 to 15 last minute right before the install. Then we did the install and they were like, I should have stuck with the 30. Like, all right, well, I want you to be happy. I'm just going to charge you the material and the labor for my guys that come swap it out real quick. And I want you to be happy because in the long run, that's going to cost us some money in the short term. But now that person's super happy, they're more likely to refer their friends and neighbors. And like, we're always going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's like an entire house and they didn't say anything while it was happening, and that might be a different story. But this was just this was like 4 windows in one room. Like, okay, I can chalk it up to just let me charge you for the material and what my guys are going to have to get paid, and we'll take care of it.
I would still, if it was someone in their whole house, I do the same thing. As long as it's like, hey, like most time when you have set the expectation, went through the whole install, nothing gets said, and it's just something that like they're in there, they have it for like a week or two, and they're just like,
and it shouldn't be happening often, right? Like if it's happening more than once or twice a year, you need to fix how you're selling the film. Yeah.
So that's setting the expectation. But if you have that one customer that is like that, and if it is a whole house, it's just still the same conversation. Hey, like I'm not looking to make like any more off of you. Like, yes, I'll lose a day in labor that I could have had profit on that labor, but what is that really worth if the customer's not happy in the long run? Just tell them like my guys gotta get paid. I gotta pay my guys to remove this stuff. I gotta pay them to put it on. I gotta pay for our material. So it'd be at a much, much, much lesser cost, but still take care of them. And the majority of the time of customers, if they know it's on them and it's like you've had that conversation, they're like, no, I want this, and it happens, and those people are the most understanding. They're like, it was my fault. Like, hey, what can you do for me? Like, I can't live with this. And then you hit them with that, and then they're appreciative of it. And it's like, my guys got work. My guys are getting paid. We go one day without having a technical, profitable job. We'll survive. We'll be just fine. So it's just always take care of the customer, make sure they're happy. But as long as you are asking the right questions, and then also you have the right information for the type of glass it is, then you can provide them with a solution that's going to. Because if you have that entire conversation, you tell them what their window is, and then your competitor comes in, and they're just like, oh, yeah, here, use this. And they're like, well, you're not worried about what type of window this is or any of that? And it's like, all right, these people might cost an extra $1,000 or $2,000, but they just told me that all the problems I could have, and the other person didn't acknowledge it.
That happens every single day. So for anything else, if you're getting into flat glass, if you want to get your money back for that meter, like you're going to get it back just in sales.
I already bought one.
Almost Smart. Immediately.
Yep.
Almost immediately. Because if I go to bid against you and say there's 2 or 3 other people on that job bidding it, and I'm the only one that busts out a meters the window, especially if I find a Surface 3 hard coat.
Oh, job's locked
It's
up.
over because I'm the only person that offered exterior and explained why you have to do it. They're not going to choose the other 3 people that didn't even address that.
Yep.
Like, okay, these people actually know what they're doing. They're professionals. That alone, it's worth it. Especially, and then you look at the money you're going to save from the windows you're not going to scratch or break because you put the wrong film on the wrong coating.
Or the windows that now that it is Surface 3 and you have to go exterior, now you're going to a high-end exterior film, you just probably 4x that job, and especially on commercial windows, to where even if they're looking for a non-reflective film, like you are now able to safely say like putting this on the outside and then showing them all the specs locks it up almost every single time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, commercial, exterior sometimes becomes a pain in the butt if it's multiple story building, right? But you just factor in the cost of the lift.
About.
Yeah.
You just have to make a good relationship with a rental company and know what lifts are going to cost. And you just have to be able to price that in. And that is not hard. You literally develop a relationship with a equipment rental company. You'll have somebody on call that you can call and say, okay, I'm going to need this size lift at this location for this many days. How much is it going to cost? And before I give the proposal, I know that number. I'm factoring it in. And you're offering the better result. They're almost always willing to pay more money because they know that you've just convinced them that this is
better option.
This is the way better option that's actually going to solve the main. They called me to hold heat out the building.
All right. So actually I can answer that question. The top 3 things, in my eyes, one thing, when you're doing an exterior install and it's a full install and then you wake up that morning when it wasn't supposed to be windy and it's 20-mile-an-hour winds. Because now you have to find somewhere to put that job, especially if you're 2 to 3 weeks out. And now it's like, all right, I got to find somewhere to fit an entire job. And like they're already pre-warned about it too. Like if the wind is kicking, if it's 20 miles an hour, we're still going to call you and let you know. But just to anticipate that we have to reschedule this.
And be looking at it. So nowadays we got really good forecasting. So you can look and see what the next couple of days of wind's going to look like, and maybe even see it coming ahead of time and be able to shuffle it around before the morning of. That's something I've been doing more of. When I know that there's big exterior jobs scheduled, I'm looking at the weather forecast a couple days ahead of time. Like a week out, it might not be very accurate, but a day or two, it's pretty accurate now. It even shows you what time of day. That's a big thing out here is if you look at the wind conditions, even just like on the Apple weather, it's typically low in the morning and then it just spikes in the afternoon as the sun comes up. So we go early.
11, 12 o'clock, all of a sudden it goes from like 2 to 3 miles an hour to all of a sudden now it's 10 with 20-mile-an-hour gusts. And you're like, and there goes our window. But, we've gotten much better with scheduling with that. And then even like in the summertime, we tell the customers like our guys are going to be there at 4:30 in the morning because we can't put this on when it's 115 outside. We can be in the shade and still I don't recommend putting it. I mean, you can get the job done if you're in the shade because it's like if time's a problem and that's all you have to work with. But when it's 115 out, with no sun on the window, the water's drying almost instantly. Yeah. So you got to rush to get that on there. So now it opens up our install window to where like when we tell the customer that, they're like, yeah, that's fine. It's like, do you want to text you or just show up? They're like, yeah, just show up. Gate will be unlocked. Let's go into the backyard, get it taken care of.
Yeah, I had to tint 3 box trucks in a parking lot in the middle of summer. And like I was tinting the windows and like as I was squeegeeing the water, the glue was separating.
Yep.
It was so hot outside.
Yep.
The
dude was trying
worst.
to blame me. He was like, maybe it's your soap. I was like, no, dude, it's fucking 120 degrees outside.
The worst is skylights, man. That's one thing I'm really glad that we've been able to go more exterior with is getting up into a skylight that's like 12, 15 feet up in like a little cubby in someone's home. And it's just glass with the sun coming right down on you. You get up in there and it's like 115 degrees, 120 degrees. It's like a sauna. Then you start spraying water on it. By the time you're done with that window, you're soaked from head to toe. It's awful. So anytime I can do a skylight exterior now, especially because most of the time they want the best heat rejection. I can give them way better heat rejection on the exterior, even if the coating doesn't require it. I can get better heat rejection on the exterior. So and there's an easy way to get on the roof, especially a lot of these modern homes, the skylights that they have really easy access from the roof. And it's like rather than going 20 feet up in a ladder in a sweat box that has drywall going to the edge of the window, like, hey, I can get you way better heat rejection if I can get on your roof and do it from the exterior.
Looks better.
And almost every time they're cool with it. And it just turns out so much better. It's so much easier to do. So it's like, it's a win-win. It's a better result for the customer and it's way easier to install.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's just stuff we've learned over the years that like really we haven't implemented until like maybe the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, and the industry's evolving too, man. So you just gotta stay on top of it.
Yeah.
Like, the warranties on exterior film have gotten a lot better. So like this would have been bad advice 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, now you actually have the products to solve the problem. Back, 5, 6 years ago, you had like 1 or 2 films. A lot of times they were exclusive films. So like one of the high-ends 3M Prestige exterior, like you have to be a Prestige dealer to sell that. So if you don't have the access to it, then you're shit out of luck. Nothing new about it. So it's definitely changed over the years. But I would say that would be the biggest one, would be just the weather. But beyond that, is stay on top of the times. Glass is changing constantly. Surface 4 is coming. Like they usually start everything in Europe, and as it trends better and gets better in technology, it bleeds over here. So, but that's why the main piece of advice, any person that comes to the academy that we train, it's like the first question that I'm going to probably tell somebody or ask them before even signing up. If you do this class, are you going to purchase the meter? Because if you're not going to purchase the meter, you're wasting your time. You're putting yourself in a position to where you're not going to be able to offer the correct product, or you might compromise the job you're on, and it's just not worth it. And then let alone you set back the industry because of it. Like all of a sudden you just broke a bunch of windows. That person's never going to get tint done on their house again. They're going to badmouth it everywhere they can, and it's just going to hurt everybody.
Yeah, as valuable as a positive experience and a good review is, a bad experience and a bad review goes much further. Like that person that had a bad experience is going to be a lot more vocal than the person that just had a good experience.
Yeah, and it sucks when you just get that person that's just never pleased.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
you did a good job and they're just fucking not happy.
That's going to happen. That percentage never goes away. It's always a small percentage.
Yeah, and you just have to bite the bullet and just do whatever you can to make them happy.
And even if it comes down to refund the money, take the film off, and just eat it, because it's not worth the review, because no one's going to understand the context of actually what went down. And it always sucks to do that, but it is more beneficial for you in the long run. You know, there's certain times where that person will post that review and then not necessarily worry about it too much. We'll reply back with what our site is, leave it as it is. Very rarely, but majority of the time you can click on that person, you see their reviews.
It's like 100 one-star reviews.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've got one last question for you. In the 5 years you've been doing this, what's the biggest piece of advice you give to someone out there that's getting into the industry or is interested in getting in the industry that you wish you would have known faster?
Don't try to start a business without knowing as much as you can know, or like work for a shop or work for free as long as you can before you feel comfortable enough to just like do your own thing, and have a little bit of money saved aside when you are slow, so you're not racking up debt. Because I used to work for a shop for 2 years. That's why I like really honed my rapping skills, and it was just came to a point where it was like I didn't end off in bad blood, but it just wasn't like the right environment for what I was imagining myself.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like, we just kind of went our separate ways, but we're still pretty cool. And like, those are one of the main people that helped me out a lot. And like, I rent space from. But I don't know, my best piece of advice is just like, don't jump into it without knowing a lot. And don't put shitty film on people's stuff, cars, houses.
Dude,
whatever.
everything you just said I love. Like, be willing to do it for free. Find somewhere that you can go learn. Yeah.
I mean, you can flip that into.
And not using shit film.
Pay to go get trained.
Going to make your life so much worse to save a couple dollars a square foot on film.
The amount of academies that are popping up now, especially on the auto side, like I would say back 5-6 years ago, you could get trained by certain manufacturers. There wasn't too many. Like they were kind of popping up. Now there are plenty of reputable, at least definitely on the auto side, plenty of reputable training you can go to that will be a 3 to 4 day training to where you can get those initial reps in. And then, yes, proceed with going somewhere to keep improving your knowledge.
You just work for a shop. For
yeah. I mean, find a shop like us. Like right now, we're hiring people as apprentices that they know that they're getting trained from the ground up. They know that we're going to send them to exterior training. That's actually going to be on us, right? Like, that would be the absolute best way to get into that, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think that's a good spot to wrap it up.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I appreciate you coming on, man. We're going to have to do this again. Might have to do some work together too.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was already going to be talked about.
Yeah, we're going to be talking after this.
But you guys know how this works. Follow along. We appreciate everyone following. Any comments, anything you guys want us to talk about, hit subscribe, hit follow. Thank you.
Thank you. Subscribe. Where can they find you?
Yeah.
Instagram, Prismatic Auto Styling, or 702-470-6523. I like text messages.
Hell yeah.
Hit them up, guys. Have a good one.